Hi friend, so do you know how we can regain brain function if you lose some function due to accident or brain issue like a stroke? Well, today we will explore the cool thing called neuroplasticity. So you know how we used to think our brain were like set in stone once we grew up. Like this is your brain, deal with it. Now it's turned out that's totally not true. Our brain are way more flexible than we thought. So neuroplasticity is basically our brain's superpower to change and adapt. It's like our brain is this is epic Lego structure and we can keep rebuilding it your whole life. How cool is that? I was reading about a guy who had a stroke. Half of his brain was basically out of commission, but get this, his brain actually rewired itself. Other part started picking up the slack and he eventually recovered a lot of his function. It's like his brain was like, no worries, we got this, found a workaround. And it is not just for the big dramatic stuff like a stroke, it's happening all the time. It's like remember when we tried to learn some language and every time we practice, our brain was literally changing, forming new connection. It's kinds of mind-blowing when you think about it. There was this study about the London taxi driver. They have to memorize this ancient map of London to get their license, right? Well, scientists found that the part of their brain responsible for spatial navigation actually grew larger. Their brain physically changed because of what they were learning. How wild is that? But here is the thing that really got me. It's not just about learning new stuff. Apparently, our thoughts and belief can change our brain structure too. Like if you are always stressed, it can actually change your brain in not so great ways. But the flip side is true too. If you practice mindfulness or positive thinking, you can literally rewire your brain to be calmer and happier. It's kinds of empowering, like we have more control over our brain than we thought. It's not just a genetics or what happened when we were kids. We can actively shape our brain throughout our lives. So I have been trying to take advantage of this. Like I have started doing crossword puzzle in the morning instead of just scrolling through social media. I also read about the fascinating experiment with the blindfolded people. They had sighted people wear blindfold for several days and their brain actually started rewiring to enhance their other sense. It's like their brain was saying, okay, no visual, let's crank up the hearing and touch. And when they took the blindfold off, everything went back to normal. The brain is just too adaptable. And it's not just humans. They have seen neuroplasticity in animal too. You know how they said it takes 21 days to form a habit? That's neuroplasticity in the action. You are literally carving new pathway in your brain every time you repeat that habit. It's like you are creating a shortcut in your brain. But here is a crazy thing. Neuroplasticity can work against us too. Like if you are always scrolling through your phone, your brain is rewiring itself to crave that constant stimulation. That's why it can be so hard to focus on one thing for a long time. And our brain have adapted to expect constant new input. The good news is we can use neuroplasticity to our advantage. Like if you want to be more focused, you can train your brain to do that. Apparently, learning a new language is one of the best ways to promote neuroplasticity. I also found some literature that sleep is super important for neuroplasticity. It is when your brain consolidates all the new connection it's made during the day. So all those all-nighters we pull it college. You know what else is good for the neuroplasticity? Exercise. Apparently, it increases blood flow to the brain and can even help generate new brain cells. So, next time you are dreading going to the gym, just think you are not just working out your body, you are giving your brain a boost too. Even the neuroplasticity can help in the Alzheimer patient. Well, apparently promoting neuroplasticity might help slow down cognitive decline in the older adult. It's not a cure, but staying mentally active and challenging your brain can help maintain cognitive function for long. You know what else is fascinating? The link between neuroplasticity and mindfulness meditation. Apparently, regular meditation can actually change the structure of your brain, increasing gray matter in area associated with learning, memory, and emotional regulation. There are some studies about how neuroplasticity relates to addiction. Basically, addiction creates a really strong neuronal pathway in the brain, but the good news is because of neuroplasticity, those pathways can be weakened and new healthier one can be formed. It's not easy, but it's possible. Now we can apply this thing to relationship too. Like every interaction we have is shaping our brain in some way. Some choosing to respond with the kindness or patience is not just about the being nice in the moment. It actually training your brain to be more kind and patient in general. Apparently, love and attachment actually change your brain structure. When you fall in love, your brain forms new connection associated with the person. It's like your brain is physically changing to accommodate this new important person in your life. There are few more studies about how neuroplasticity relates to a pain. So chronic pain can actually change your brain structure, making you more sensitive to pain. But flip side is true too. You can use neuroplasticity technique to help manage chronic pain. It's not a cure all, but it's pretty promising. Like we used to think cognitive decline was inevitable as we got older, but now we know that's not necessarily true. If we keep changing our brains, we can maintain cognitive function much better. It's like a use it or lose it principle, but for your brain. And it is not just about doing crossword puzzle or sudoku. Social interaction is super important for maintaining neuroplasticity as we age. I also learned about how neuroplasticity relates to stress. So chronic stress can actually change your brain structure in negative ways. But the good news is stress reduction technique like meditation or exercise can help reverse those changes. It's like you can unstress your brain. We can think about how this applies to creativity too. Like when we are being creative, we are forming new connection in our brain, looking at things in new ways. So in the way, being creative is a workout for your brain neuroplasticity. Now let's talk about how neuroplasticity relates to our sense. Like if you lose one sense, your brain can actually rewire itself to enhance the others. There was things amazing story about a guy who went blind and taught himself to echolocate like a bat. His brain actually repurposed this visual cortex to process sound information. And it's not just about big changes. Even a small daily habit can have an impact on our brain structure over time. So choosing to practice gratitude or take a different route to work or try a new recipe, all these things, little things, are exercising your brain, our brain's plasticity. Now there is another something interesting. Apparently our brain are more plastic when we are in good mood. So doing things that make us happy isn't just fun, it might actually help learn and adapt better. So I hope you have gained some insight about the neuroplasticity. So thank you for watching. See you in the next video.